Cool. We are here with Mr. Flip Chris the world. Damn, that was difficult to say for a second. How you doing today, man?
Doing awesome, man. Thank you. Thank you. How you doing?
Good, man. Good. Arizona. I'm guessing the same with Texas. It's hot. It's hot. It's very hot right now.
Very hot. And we have an awesome government, or our ERCOT. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but basically we have our own power supply here in Texas. We're not connected to the main world. And so I think everybody in the US saw that during our week that we had the freeze where we all lost power for no reason. Well, now they're telling us that we have to set our thermostats to 78 when we're home and 85 when we're not home, or we're going to have rolling blackouts.
What? That is wild, dude. So, what do you think? Is solar the way to go on that side, or get all renewable, or just kind of connect the grid to the other parts of the world or other parts?
I think, yeah, I think we need to just go back to the rest of the United States because I pay for my electricity. So telling me that I can't have it at a certain temperature, but then making me pay for it doesn't seem very, I don't know. And all I can think of is as a heavy set person is there's going to be a lot of dead fat people in Texas if they don't let us put the AC. I can't live at 78 indoors. I
That's
can't do it.
that's honestly hot, man. Staying here in Arizona, like I'm pumping my AC around the clock, dude, and it still doesn't get past like 75. It's getting wild, a little warm.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of like more skin showing if I have to live like that. I'm gonna start doing lives with just nothing on, just like sticking to the chair.
Damn. Yeah, so give every kind of your background of how did you start reselling?
We got into reselling mainly as a side hustle to generate income to fund our pest control company that we started in 2017. Is specifically with reselling. It all came because of another reseller that I happened to stumble across on YouTube, Walter Blake Knobloch, who was showing people he was making all this money selling used VCRs in like 2016, 2017. So when I saw that video, I was like, I don't think I've used or seen a VCR in 10 years. So there's no way this dude is making this much money selling used VCRs. So kind of just, I don't know why, because it really, I didn't know Walter at the time, and I didn't want to be like reseller of electronics. But for whatever reason, I wanted to prove that he was full of it. So I specifically made it a point to go to a thrift store the next day after seeing that video. I bought a VCR, I tested it, I cleaned it, I listed it. And before I went to bed that night, it sold for like 90 bucks. And I messaged him and I was just like, hey, you don't know me. This is going to sound really awkward, but I just spent the entire day trying to prove that you were full of shit, and you're not. So hi, I'm Chris. and we've been friends since, and he's one of the biggest like mentors when it comes to like the reselling community for me. I always watch his stuff, ask him questions. Like, he legit just wants to show people how to make money if you're willing to work.
Cool. And then starting off, then what's the best way for new people to start off from your expertise? How would you do it?
So for like, if you don't have any like inventory, I know everybody says, oh, I don't have anything, but you can go around your house and find at least 5 things that you haven't. The way I did it was I went around the house, and anything that I haven't worn, touched, or used in the last 6 months means I don't need it. So I sold it, and I used that beginning capital to then go into the thrift and go to yard sales and buy more things. But if you want to just go straight into the stores, like that's where you want to start treasure hunting instead of starting at your house and you have a little bit of startup money, I would go to a thrift store and just spend the first day looking up and scanning everything, just so you can learn what app you want to sell on. Like if you want to be an eBay seller, get your eBay app and go around the store and, oh, well, this coffee mug, well, let me look this coffee mug up. Okay, well, coffee mugs sell for about $7 to $12 unless they're like vintage or specific. Oh, well, t-shirts, let me see what t-shirts sell. And just spend a day looking items up and buying nothing. That way you don't make any mistakes, and you're starting off with a death pile of things that don't really sell, and kind of learn the app that you want to sell on, whether it be eBay, Poshmark, Mercari. I think that's going to be it's going to advance you as far as thrifting or as far as reselling in the beginning, way more than just going and oh, well, I like Nike shoes, so I'm going to get these Nike shoes, and I'm going to Adidas sell. And then come to find out, not all Nikes resell for good money or for a quick flip. Some of them you sit on for a while.
Definitely. I know you saw something I thought was useful. Hopefully everybody else would as well. I saw you list Nike shoes that you got from bins on Facebook Marketplace for $20. Kind of give everybody why you did that and how you can sell locally as well, which I think is going to be the future very soon.
For sure, yeah. So I did that kind of as an experiment to show people, because I think a lot of times what people get scared to start for is, oh, well, I don't know how to set up my eBay account, or Poshmark looks too complicated because of all the sharing and stuff that I have to do, and Mercari this. So people get scared of the platforms, so they just don't do it. And I wanted to show, like, literally no research. I just went into the bins or anywhere you can get shoes. Like, I would say under $5 and under is a good way to at least get double your money back. And you just, okay, well, these are Nikes, $5. I got to clean them. Nike's a very, very well-known brand, probably number one in the shoe brands. So you know that you could probably sell them for $20. No research. You don't have to look up, like, you don't have to pull the tags. Like, you know, when you're first starting out, you don't know that the little style code, where the style code is in the tag. You don't know which. So you find this, it's $5. You put it on Facebook Marketplace with a photo for $20, and it's going to sell, because Nike's $20. It's a no-brainer, especially if they're in good condition. So I just wanted to do it as a way to show people, like, hey, don't be scared of different platforms. Literally just start and get your feet wet, and then build from there. So we know people that specifically only sell on Facebook Marketplace because they want to keep it local. They don't want to have to ship things. Shipping is a whole nother beast that people get scared of. So they just wanted a platform that's better than Craigslist, where they could put items up for sale and either have someone come to their house or they go meet them somewhere. And so that's really what it was, just to show how easy it is.
No, definitely. And kind of a purpose as well. Like, I think the local game and the online game combined together is something that not many people do. Some people that do really well is Renzi that does it. They do Facebook Marketplace, Mercari, and Poshmark right now, and they are straight killing it on all of those. They usually split 30% in terms of actual sales across those, which is unique just in general. And then kind of give us your thoughts on cross-listing. What should people do cross-listing? Do you cross-list right now? Kind of preface that for everybody.
So cross-listing is, I mean, if you've been reselling for a good amount of time, then cross-listing is something that you're more than likely already involved with, or you want to get into, because it's more eyes on your product. So like those shoes, and instead of just having them on eBay, we can have them on eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, Facebook Marketplace, and there's a million other site platforms, but particularly those are like the four that we use. And we kind of have like a 4-tier system for us. So we'll put them on eBay first. If we think it's going to be like, if the sold comps show us that it's 75% or higher sell-through rate, then we might just leave it on eBay. But for the most of our inventory, it's going to go to eBay and Mercari first, and then we'll go to Poshmark. And then if it hasn't sold after like 45 days on any of those platforms, we move it over to Facebook Marketplace, and then we lower the price for like a local pickup. But cross-listing is almost a must nowadays if you are trying to be a full-time or like a professional reseller. You're going to want your product being looked at by more people than just the one platform you're on. I mean, even you can sell used items now on Walmart, just like you can on Amazon. So those are other avenues or other platforms that people are starting to go to. And you can always tell that it's somebody that's either listing on Walmart's website or is cross-listing, because when you click on a product that you want to buy, it'll tell you if it's coming from Walmart or from somewhere else.
And then kind of rank your top. What do you think that actually the top marketplaces are right now? Give me the top 5 or 10 that you think. And who's your dark horse, and who do you think is gonna be the new eBay in, let's say, the next 10 years?
So for right now, I mean, especially for what we sell, I would say eBay's our number one, but I still think Amazon's number one right now. I want to say Walmart's probably number 2, because they're in heavy competition. I know that they're doing, next day delivery now. They have hired people locally. I only know this because it's happened to us a few times, and I'm like, where did this stuff come from? They're hiring people like Uber Eats people. So if I bought something from Walmart.com and they have it in my location, they'll just have like a courier from Uber Eats or somewhere like that pick up the item and then bring it to my door. They knock on my door and then they're gone. And then I open my door and there's my laundry detergent. How did that get here? It's not packed. There's not a shipping label. So they're really getting creative with getting products to the customer quickly. So I think that Walmart's number 2. eBay's still going to be your mega beast for used items, just because they've been around the longest, and they're huge. And then I think it's probably Facebook Marketplace, and then it goes Poshmark, Mercari, or like battling it out, and then it goes down from there. It also depends on like what you're selling. Like I know Etsy just acquired Depop, which a lot of people, they might think, oh well, Etsy is like handmade goods and trinkets and things like that, and Depop's where all the cool kids are selling all the vintage stuff. But for a company to buy out a company because of the stuff that they're selling, that lets you know that Depop and what the items sold on Depop is on the rise, and Etsy noticed that and they wanted to become part of it, which means that the other platforms are going to start trying to figure out how they can sell, because I don't think you can sell like vintage stuff on Amazon unless it's like vintage electronics. So like vintage t-shirts and things like that, eventually all these other platforms are going to be like, hey, I want a piece of that cut. Because I mean, even Nike just released I was just talking with someone about this. Nike just released a new Air Force One where the bottom is already yellowed to look vintage. Yeah, to look vintage. So all these different brands and companies taking notice that the vintage community is skyrocketing and everybody wants to cash in. So I think Depop and Etsy are going to be on the rise in the next few years.
Yeah, something you can kind of touch on that as well in terms of the rising. So when we're doing our research as well, kind of jumping in this market deeper and deeper, resale is growing at a 39% year-over-year CAGR, which means it's just growing really rapidly. By 2025, it's supposed to go to a $64 billion industry, just resale alone. And that doesn't include any other thing else. Right? That's not any arbitrage in between. That's just pure like used good resale, almost doubles within the last 5 years. So it's going to be moving. A lot of people are going to come in the space. We do think this is going to be a huge space in the future because it's on a tailwind. I think the one thing that was interesting is Gen Z is coming up with it, right? The more Gen Z are hammering it. And it's also on that tailwind of the renew, recycle. Everything's going to be sustainable in the future, right? So the more things that are less taxing on the environment are going to continue to blow up as much as possible, and then more cash gets pumped into those things as well, which is super interesting.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, we just got a bunch of poly bags in the mail that are made out of corn. Like, so really? Renewable energy, renewable things, especially with vintage. Like, I think the one thing that the Gen Zs, the millennials, the younger generation, and when I say younger, I still mean me, like 40 and under. They're noticing all the things that are happening. We might not understand everything, like when people are talking about global warming and but we have the common sense of being like, hey, there's a landfill down the street, and 10 years ago it wasn't as high as it is now. So in 10 years from now, it's going to be higher and it's going to take up more land and it's going to smell worse. So they're picking up on that, and then the selling of the used goods keeps it from going there, because you can actually look up like, where does bulk used clothing go, and you'll see like horrible, like smaller countries just overrun with just clothes that they're just compacting.
Yep. So
it's definitely big business. It's just trying to figure out the space for it all, and then fast fashion starting to duplicate the vintage stuff to try and make the money off of it is also going to be something that's going to come into play with, well, we don't need you to make, a reprint of this 20-year-old shirt, because now you're defeating the purpose of renew, recycle. You're just adding more to the top, and then you're selling it at a cheaper price. So
It's kind of same topic. I think it was Nordstrom's that went is going used. They did a used like pilot a year ago. Something cool on that side as well. Cool. Let's kind of jump back onto you, man. So like, give us are you still looking to do that pest control business? Would you recommend a pest control business to anybody else? I know that was your full day-to-day gig for the last couple of years, correct? Give away the background about that.
Oh yeah. So This is actually my 10th year in pest control. Started 2010. Just got a job locally with a pest control company. Before that, I had been doing just odd jobs here and there, out of whenever I was in bands, whenever we weren't on tour, whenever we would come home, we just had to get, jobs to survive until we could go out on the road again. Cause that was the big goal, was just to stay out and play and, become freaking rock stars. And, so just doing odd jobs. And then I got older. We realized that dream probably wasn't going to happen, and tried to look for like a trade, because school was never really something that I wanted to do, because I didn't feel like, not that I think school's bad or anything, especially, you hear that, children, with my kids listening, school's great. I didn't feel like school was teaching the things that what I would call now as an adult, real world stuff that you need, like finance and investing and, basically how to survive as an adult. Really, school for me, and they might have changed since I was in school, but it was just about teaching you how to stay awake from 9 to 5 and do rudimental, English, math and things like that, till you could get just a 9 to 5 job. And I didn't want that. So I started looking at trades, because I knew that a trade, at least I know how to do something. Like I'm valuable because I can do this. If you're an engineer, an electrician, pest control technician, you have something that you do that you've gone to school or training for. So it's the trade, and you can maybe start at this company, but then you can bounce to another company because you'll always have that license. So I got into looking at trades. Pest control just happened to be one that I applied for, and they called me back. Wasn't ever really a fan of bugs. I mean, now it's kind of weird now, because I can literally just have like roaches or bugs crawling all over me, and it doesn't, I'm just like, all right, get off me, come on, get out of my beard. But I don't have that phobia anymore. But yeah, I started doing that with the company, and then I slowly started working my way up. I got promoted to supervisor. From supervisor, I got promoted to area manager, where I was running the entire operation here locally. And then it got to a point where I was at the highest position I could go to at that company, right underneath the owner. And he brought his sons in. His sons weren't part of the company. They were doing their own thing as adults. And I guess he was getting to the retirement age and wanted to pass it down to the family. So he brought them in, which brought me down the ladder a few notches. And then I kind of realized, like, this is it for me. This is where I'm going to, if I stay with this company, I've reached my ceiling at 28 years old. And so my brain doesn't work that way. I was like, oh no, I can't have a ceiling. Like, I don't want to be told this is it for the next 40 years. This is what you'll do every day. So I looked into what I could do with all of the time and learning that I put into pest control, and it just, start your own company was the only thing that came to mind. I could either go try to get another job in another company and hopefully might work my way up to a position, but I didn't know what positions were above where I was other than owner. So I said, okay, well, I guess I'll be an owner. And started immediately creating a plan of action and a business model, and while I was still working at his company. And then when I thought I had everything ready and I was going to file for my license for my business and things like that, I had to let him know, because he could look it up and see that I was doing it, because he was still in control of my license at the time. So I just let him know, hey, I'm going to start my own pest control company. Had to go through like a non-compete, get an attorney and figure out how to do that, because these are things I didn't know about. So I had a 2-year non-compete. I was able to get it down to a 1-year non-compete. And instead of being like a non-compete for the entire city, they had to break it down to county. So for a year, I had to stay out of certain counties. I couldn't do pest control. I couldn't bring on customers, anything in those counties. And then in return for me staying away from his areas for the year, I was compensated by his company. So we used that as like the first round of seed money, and then to get the supplies, the chemical, everything like that. And then we started reselling to build up the business. As far as, do I think it's a good thing? I think bugs aren't going anywhere. It's not called pest. It's not called pest elimination. It's called pest control, because you're just controlling them. You'll never be able to fully get rid of them. They're always going to be in the soil. which means they're always going to come up when it rains or when it gets too hot and enter homes, which means there's always going to be the availability to make money because someone's not going to want them in their house. In Texas, it doesn't take that much. I think you can get licensed to operate in as little as 30 days, and you can become a business. You can get a business license probably within the first year. So the easiest way to do it is just to go apply for a company, apply to a company that offers the training included in their program, get your license, get some experience. And then after that year, you can apply for everything on your own. But yeah, it's great. It's work, but I mean, that's what you get when you start any business. Reselling is work. Cleaning shoes is work. It's not as easy. And I know this is going to sound hard or it's dumb because I said the word easy, but I think out of all businesses other than reselling, lawn service is probably the easiest to start because you don't have to have any kind of licensing. You literally just have to have a mower, an edger, and maybe a blower. And you can start a, $500 to $700 a day business as a lawnmower, but it's not easy. But pest control is right there you can make, $5,000 to $1,000 a day doing pest control if you build up the customers.
Nice. Yeah. And then, like, how are you getting customers? That's kind of like, this is for everybody as well, in terms of what I'm trying to do on my end is like to push people to actually create increase in product, right? Product supply. A lot of people go out and do thrift, right? And that's unsustainable in the long term. How are you getting customers when you were doing the pest control?
So for us, it really came down to almost how like you'd start any kind of smaller businesses is not like an MLM where you reach out to friends and family and then hope that they tell people and everything. But really it just came down to word of mouth. So obviously my friends became some of my first customers for their businesses. I have a friend that's in the oil and gas, and his family's in the oil and gas. So I was able to do their offices. I have a friend that has a barbershop. I was able to do their barbershop. And then from there, we just asked them like, hey, we'll give you an introductory rate because we just want to start the business. And then if you could help us out by giving us good reviews on Google and Yelp, and those 5-star reviews that they gave us in the beginning is what catapulted other people calling us because they found us on the search engine. And so doing their pest control for discounted price in the beginning and them giving us a 5-star review actually paid off more in the long run than us charging them full price from the beginning, because we live in a world where, let's say they open up a new restaurant down by my house. I'm going to look it up before I go. We don't live in a world where we just walk into places now and try it out. You can do that like if you're on vacation, but like if you're in your own bubble, usually you'll just Google something real quick and see what it's all about. Even if you don't read the reviews, you're going to look at what the rating is. Like, is this a 4.8? Is this a 5? Is this a 3? And so what we did is every time we picked up a customer at the end of the service, we would just ask them like, hey, if you would, we're going to include a link on our invoice because everything's digital. If you could just leave us a review of your services. And so that slowly built us to where still right now, even with us like starting to tell people that call in like, hey, we're no longer taking on new customers at this time. And then telling our current older customers like, hey, we're scaling down. We're going to be closing shop by the end of the year. We're still the only 5-star rating in our city after 5 years. We've never had any negatives or anything like that. So really it just came by building up your online presence, really.
Very cool. You can sell those leads too, which is kind of cool. Like, people pay big bucks for those leads. Each lead comes in, you can obviously get some cash on that in the back end too.
Yeah, we've had a larger company. This was probably 2 years ago. They actually asked to buy out our customer list. And at the time, I was like, wait, what? If I sell you my customers, then I have nothing. I have to start over again. Yep. Doesn't make any sense. And like, oh, well, no, we want to buy you out for your customer list. We'll keep the name. It'll just be like a division of, and then you'll come on as an employee for us. I'm like, oh, well, you lost me at employee.
I'm the same way, man.
Yeah. Nope.
Cool.
But it's cool to see that when you put in the work, people will start noticing and they'll reach out, stuff like that.
Yeah, no, 100%. Which it's unlike a employee base where like you put in the work, you don't know you actually get the gratification at the end. Your work does pay off, at least most of the times. Sometimes it does, right? Cool. We got 3 minutes left. Kind of give everybody what you're planning on in the future. What's your goals with reselling? And we can kind of end on that.
Yeah. Well, so as we're closing or shutting down or slowing down the pest control side, we're actually trying to scale up our inventory and our reselling side. So, I mean, you can't really see behind us, but we just did our first buyout. They're all over here on the table. We bought out another reseller who's getting out of the game. He had 70 pairs of brand new shoes, and we made a deal, bought those. We've already sold 7 pairs. So we've already almost made half of the money, the investment money back, and we have all the other pairs. So right now it's coming down to, we're trying to scale up that way as we're slowly losing the pest control business, this pest control income. We're scaled enough to where the reselling income is covering it. So we're not going to start off next year with just a loss from the pest control income and not have that gap. So we're trying to make up as much money coming in as possible. We've also cut off using any income that comes in from pest control. As of right now, we're trying to concentrate on just surviving off reselling, so we know exactly where we are, how tight it is, and what we need to increase, and then getting more organized and dialing in on creating an area in our garage. I've kind of made like a 4-wall area, and we're going to try and create like a space to where I can move most of this stuff out there so we can scale more, because at this time, like for me being like a clutter freak, I feel like I am in a 2-person elevator with 15 people. So like I am suffocating in here. So I need to get this stuff out and then more organized. I'm going to try and change up the shoe racks, because these two are actually about to collapse. So these plastic shoe racks hold 50 pairs of shoes. Like they hold 50 pair of like women's size 5 shoes, not, mixed assortment, because they're all bowing. So I'm going to try and build some or do something different. I'm going to reach out to Renzi and them and see how they're able to keep their 10 tiers from falling over. But organization and scaling is the main thing we're trying to do right now. So we don't have like hey, we're making this much with the pest control and reselling, and now that the pest control's gone, we're down here. So I don't want the quality of life to change too much. We know it will, obviously, but we want to try and be as close to no hiccups as possible. So we got 6 months to figure that out.
And it can always go up too. One thing I think is kind of interesting before we clear this out is resell, you're relying on product, right? An item that you can sell multiple a day, 24/7. Pest control is mostly about your time, right? Unless you're selling actual product on the end. So you have that bigger ceiling, which we talked about before.
For sure. Yeah. That's another reason why we made the decision, because anybody that's not in the reselling business, or understand what's going on with this, like when we tell them that, they're just like, wait, what? Why would you do that? You should quit the reselling and concentrate on building more customers. And they're like, well, no, like, yes, that is more of a long-term. You don't have as many like hiccups, and you don't have to worry about, oh, what if this happens? What if this? Because it's just straight build customers, kill bugs, build customers, kill bugs. But in the long term, there is a ceiling, and you're going to get to a point where I can't do this by myself. I now have to bring on employees, which opens up a whole new area of business that I don't really want to get involved with. I don't want to have to train people, and I don't want to have to rely on knowing that, hey, there's somebody out there under my business name doing pest control that could potentially ruin my business. They could wake up and have a bad day, be in a bad mood, and go to one of my customers and piss them off. And that person jumps online and leaves us a crap review. And now I'm dealing with, for the first time ever, a bad review on something that I built because I hired this person, and they woke up with a stick up their butt. So it's like too many variables that I don't want to get involved with. I'd rather, if somebody doesn't like something or has a problem with something that I'm selling, it's easy just to communicate, refund, figure out a way to work it out. And it doesn't really reflect too much, versus putting my entire business on the shoulders of someone else that hopefully is going to treat it the way that I am. And I think we all know, if you've had any job ever, that unless you're the owner, you're not going to treat it at that same level, because you're just an employee.
Yep. No, I'm on the same page, man. And first off, thank you for your time. Give everybody where to reach out to you, your Instagram, your YouTube channel. We'll tag you in the bottom as well.
Awesome. You can find us at Flip the World TX on Instagram, Flip the World on YouTube, and you can find a link to all of our stores, all of our anything we got going on. We make merch. We got a lot of stuff, but you can find it all at fliptheworldtx.com. Again, I appreciate you having me on, man. I am a huge fan. If nobody's ever been able to tell on our Instagram or anything, I'm a huge fan of HAMMOQ, what HAMMOQ's doing. You guys, I think, started in October, and I signed on in December. Like, you guys were 2 months wet, and I was already using you. So I like to call myself like the OG HAMMOQ. I've been around. So for someone like me, when people message us about HAMMOQ and what you guys are doing, it's easier for us to talk about it because I remember when it was just the website, just having to do it that way. And then I've seen the app, and then the app plus, and then now the app is what I do. My fun thing to do is when I upload the photos, I just look at the little corner and it's like done. I'm like, holy crap, it went through like 9 photos, like done.
Yeah.
So
just wait, dude.
yeah, see, I'm so excited because I feel like, you know, I told you in the text, like, I feel like I'm part of like Tesla, and I see where this is going to take resellers. And I'm so glad that I'm not like when trying to buy Tesla when it was $1,800 a share, you know.
100%. Again, thank you for all your time and being part of the journey as well, man.
No problem, man. I appreciate it.